The nervous system consists of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Neurons are cells in the nervous system that send and receive signals that control the body and its functions. This dictates how cells in the body work and what actions change to express these feelings, thoughts, and functions in the body. For example, dopamine or adrenaline. Some signals are only active in the brain but can send signals to every cell through the PNS. Thoughts and actions are created from neurons talking and relaying information to each other, which creates responses in the body. These responses can be movement of the body due to muscle contractions or feelings due to chemical release in the brain. A neuron has three main parts which can be compared to trees. Dendrites to branches, axons are like roots, and somas are like trunks. Dendrites are branching extensions that receive impulses from other nerve cells. The soma is the main body. It's the control center, producing essential proteins and neurotransmitters, generating energy and integrating signals received from dendrites before deciding whether to fire an action potential. The axon's function is to transmit electrical signals called action potentials or chemical signals called neurotransmitters away from the soma to other neurons, muscle fibers, and glands. These signals are transmitted to the axon terminal where they pass through the synapse. The synapse is the gap between two neurons. It's essentially the space where the one neuron transports a signal to the other neuron or another cell. The definition of consciousness is the state of awareness and responsiveness to oneself and surrounding. The first theory of consciousness is the global neural workspace theory, which claims that a state is conscious when its content becomes globally accessible across the brain. Consciousness develops from widespread and sustained activation that allows information to be used by memory, attention, evaluation, and action systems. This theory explains access to information, but it is debated whether it captures the experience itself. The recurrent processing theory locates consciousness within sensory cortices. It argues that local recurrent activity in sensory areas is sufficient for perceptual consciousness, even without global access or frontal involvement. This view allows for consciousness without reportability, though it's difficult to test empirically. Higher order theories state that a mental state is conscious only when it's represented by a higher order state, typically linked to the prefrontal cortex. Consciousness depends on the awareness of one's own mental states. Evidence supports frontal involvement, but whether it is strictly necessary remains contested. The last one is information integration theory, which defines consciousness as integrated information measured by phi. Any system with sufficient information integration is conscious. While theoretically ambitious, the theory is controversial due to its metaphysical commitments and counterintuitive implications.